Good evening. Can you hear me out there? Oh, that's good. My name is Suzanne Ryan, and I'm the chairman for the ZBA. I will call the public meeting to order of January 6, 2025, and a roll call vote. A roll call is Suzanne Ryan, chair, Audrey Klein, vice chair, Kate McMahon, voting member, Jody Pearsons, voting member. Alternates are Chuck Sumner and Sabette Stroman, and I am going to rotate their appointing them as voting members as we go along. But the voting members are Ryan, Klein, McMahon, Pearsons, and myself, and Klein. We have sad news to report. Our clerk, Sarah Silk, who has been a member of the ZBA for more years than I can recall, has passed away, and she'll be sorely missed. She's very helpful to us, and she kept a record of our site visits and did a superb job and added a lot of spark and life to the meeting for sure. So, sorry. Sarah was a friend of mine as well as a counterpart to this board.
Suzanne, may I say something about, just real quick? There is a GoFundMe account. I don't know how to find it necessarily, but someone was circulating a GoFundMe account to support Sarah's family and any needs surrounding her burial, if you'd like to check, if you'd like to find that. Thank you.
Thank you. The minutes of December 2nd. I'm looking for any corrections, amendments, suggestions.
I have a number of amendments to one of the cases, and unfortunately, with the line numbering, I made copies of my changes for everybody, but the line numbering is not right, so I'm afraid it's going to be confusing if I pass that out. Because in the minutes in your packet, every line's numbered. It's actually numbered differently than I think I had before, but I made some points that I think are really important, and I don't blame the minute taker because she wouldn't necessarily know that I thought the points I was making were important. But I went back to the video and I basically wrote down exactly what I said, and I want to put it into the record. And then I'll give the minute taker a copy so that she can put it in the record the way it is.
Yeah, we'll attach them to this set of minutes so you don't have to insert the corrections in.
Yes, I was trying to do that. It was not easy. Let's see.
Do you have copies for us?
Well, that's the problem. I do have copies, but the line numbers are not right. But you can
I don't
read.
care about the line numbers. We'll just follow along.
Take one and pass it down.
Because will it be that will be attached?
No, it'll be mine because the line numbers, in mine, I didn't put my changes with the line numbers, so it's right below the number that was in the real minutes. It's not on that, so I'm going to turn in this one.
Okay.
First of all, throughout, I think Jody's last name is spelled incorrectly. I don't know if you caught that. Perrson.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I just point that out one time. Maybe she can fix it. So this is the Hemlock Road case that I have amendments to. If you all go to the minutes that were passed out in your packet, do you want to do it that way? You have that, the minutes that were passed out in your packet? Because I can tell you what line number to look where I'm going to put it if you do that.
Sure. You think that will be easiest for the
Yeah,
recording
you'll see
secretary?
my language in the yellow highlighted one, but in your packet, I can tell you what line number I am putting it in.
Okay.
Sees this.
You'll use that? Okay. So I also included the time stamp in the video with my amendments. So the first one is at original line 102, at video 37:37, I said, "Several times during your narrative, you mentioned of decades. I don't know exactly when he came into effect, though." So that's, do you want to vote on each change, or just do them all and decide whether you want to accept
No,
them?
just keep going.
Okay. Line 107, at 40:15, I said, Audrey Klein said, "It's really helpful to have zoomed out picture of the tax map when we get these cases." Line 117, at 46:28, Audrey Klein, responding to a comment from Jody. "That's exactly right. I guess it's the elevation, and one of the cures for that would be a pump station, which the town has rejected putting in, which could pump water up to the other parcels. But that hasn't been done. As far as I know, it's not likely to be done on the budget." Line number 141, at minute 54:35, Audrey Klein agreed that it adds more density up by the road, more than the other lots up the hill from it, and it is 12 acres, but they can only build on the very road frontage because more than half of it is wet. So even though they are subdividing it into 3 parcels that meet the zoning, they have to put those 3 houses right up by the road, closer to each other than the other houses up the hill, but not closer to those houses down near North Main Street. At 56:50, Audrey Klein says, "Septic systems, these all meet the planning board standards." Looks at technical aspects. What the zoning is asking us to do is to look at the 5 criteria, and the criteria of the essence of the neighborhood is not a technical standard. So it's different. We're looking at this from a different angle than the planning board as far as that's concerned. And so the density might impact the essence of the neighborhood, or it might not. And as I said with this one, this is right between where the small lots, the houses are closer, and the bigger lots further up where they are further apart. This is exactly a transition point. Minute timestamp 1:01:30, Audrey Klein. "So if water hookup is required and they're asking for a variance to do wells, that means that they will have denser streetscape than they were allowed before. Whether that matters due to the location of the lot, I don't think it's a big deal for me as far as whether that changes the essential character of the neighborhood. If it were 3 lots up the street in the bigger area where there is 1 house on larger lots, I would say it would be a bigger impact than this one would because of this down near those other houses." Timestamp 104:20. Audrey Klein. "The issue I have about this is zoning says hookups are required. The town public works is saying that we can't do it. That shouldn't land here at the ZBA. That should be fixed by either changing the zoning to allow for a waiver from public works or putting in a pump station so they can have water where they are required. Jumping to criteria number 5, every single lot up here is in this predicament. Does that mean that every single lot comes for a variance request for a well? That's not what variances are for. And so going to the uniqueness of the lot, every lot up the hill that hasn't been developed is supposed to have a water hookup. One of the problems with not enforcing the zoning the way it is written is that these things go on for years and years, and then you get behind and you get into this situation like this where things don't line up with reality. And the zoning board variance is not the place to fix this, except for potentially if lots were created prior to this ordinance, then they should be allowed to have wells. But we don't know when the ordinance was created. Certainly new lots created after this ordinance should follow the ordinance or they should get town water." Timestamp 1:07:22, Audrey Klein. "But if the larger lot was pre-existing, like Suzanne said, if it's pre-existing this ordinance, they could have a well at their house." There was some conversation. Audrey at 10803, that's the rationale for a variance based on the uniqueness of this lot. At 10831, that's kind of minor. That's the bigger picture, is that this variance goes through because this is a unique lot. Why is this any more unique than any of the other lots that could be subdivided? Almost every lot up the hill can be subdivided and meet the subdivision criteria and come in for a variance for more wells. 10830, my concern is that that's not the way to fix the conflict between the zoning and public works. That's it.
Audrey, what was your time stamp, the 10831? Where does that come? What line number is that?
10 what?
The actual time, 10831. Where is that on our
hang on.
draft minutes?
That's just below line number 174. You had replied to me several places, but I didn't write what you said. I just wrote my responses. So it was a conversation, but I didn't want to really change very much what other people were saying. Any other questions?
Anybody else have any additions or corrections? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes of December 2nd, 2024 as read and written, and that the written document that Audrey's going to turn in be attached to the December 2nd, 2024 meeting minutes. Second?
Second.
Kate, second. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as amended? Signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, okay, unanimous. Okay. And I'll remind you, our secretary is not here to take the minutes, and she's doing it electronically. So sometimes you'll have to state your name, and sometimes I might state it for you, but so she can identify who's speaking. All right. The next order of business is vacancy. What did I do with my vacancy? What did I do with it?
What are you looking for?
No, wait a minute. You don't have it. I've
Oh.
got
That
something I
sheet
did
on the
put
vacancy,
together for
this?
myself.
single
There you
sheet.
go. Is that
Yeah,
what
I
you want?
saw
I
that.
left mine at home.
Okay, thank you. 67312 addresses how we fill a vacancy, not a temporary absence, but a vacancy in the office. And the chairperson of the local land use board may designate an alternate member of the board to fill the vacancy temporarily until the vacancy is filled in the manner set forth in paragraph 1, which is the election of. And the vacancy is for period, okay. So what I'd like to do with the consent of the board is use our 2 alternates to fill any meetings where we don't have, well, we won't have a full board because Sarah's not here, and rotate them. And we've only got this February, March. So if we were lucky, we'd only be having 2 meetings. But it looks like what we've got in front of us, there'll be a couple of extra meetings. But is that satisfactory to the board, or?
Yeah, I think at this late date, there's not much point in appointing a temporary permanent person in that spot.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll consider that the alternates will be serving on a rotating basis going forward. All right? All right, so then we have, rehearing. Motion for rehearing. Hayden Wilbur, tax map 17227, 45 Hemlock Drive, case 15V24. He has filed a motion for rehearing where water hookup is required to have 3 individual wells, 1 for each proposed lot. Now I want to read to you, well, first of all, let's pull out the application for rehearing, get that in front of us. So, right, so tonight, our job is simply to decide, all right, let me back up. They submitted their request for rehearing on December 26, 24. They are bound by state statute to do so within 30 days. They have met their 30 days. We then, under 677-3, it says, upon the filing of a motion for rehearing, the Board of Adjustments shall, within 30 days, either grant or deny the application. And what we have to do tonight is simply decide when we would like to hold the meeting. It's not going to be a hearing. When we'd like to hold the meeting, the public meeting, just to determine if we would or would not hold a public hearing to reconsider a rehearing. And we currently have not had a chance to talk to our attorney about this application. I did send out an email to all of you to say if you have any questions, please get them in so we can ship them over to our attorney. They filed a very complete, what I thought was complete, application with pointing out all their reasons why they feel there should be a rehearing. And it is up to us now to decide when we want to meet, after we've talked to our attorney, when we want to meet to take that issue up. And I think we were scheduled for a work meeting on the 16th. Audrey?
Yeah, that's on my calendar.
16th. And our attorney has let us know that he will avail himself in some fashion to talk with us before then, or maybe even that day. I don't know what his schedule is. We can have this room, but we'll have to meet early because the Budget Committee meets at 7. So it will not be a lengthy discussion on the decision whether we rehear or not. It's simply a public meeting, not the public hearing. We don't notify the abutters and so forth. We simply decide, are we going to set a date to rehear this or not? And so,
What time early would we have to meet?
well, the Budget Committee needs this room at 7.
So if we set the public meeting for 6 and maybe potentially have our attorney here at 5, if he's coming or if he can. So can people be here at 5 on the 16th, potentially?
Do I hear,
Not a problem for me.
as far as you know,
I have a doctor's appointment at 3:45 in
Well,
town.
you'll be-
Should
where
be
is it?
done. Right in town.
Well, you'll be back in time,
Okay.
unless they hospitalize you.
And he may not be available and we may not need a whole hour.
Yeah, I don't know just when the attorney's going to be available, so, but let's shoot for 5 and see how that works.
Okay.
Chuck? Yeah, Sabette?
Yeah. Are one of us appointed to vote on this, or?
Yeah, I think I should.
Well, isn't
I think I should
Sabette
take a
in
vote
this
rather than a
case?
consensus.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
you're saying, are we voting on,
I make a
Got-
motion to continue the discussion of a rehearing for the application of Wilbur on Hemlock Drive to January 16th at 6 o'clock here in the Great Hall.
second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Let's do roll call.
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Yes.
Kate, Ryan, yes. Sabette, yes. All right. So we're all set on that for now. And what else do we have on the agenda? All right,
Could I make a suggestion and a motion?
what's that?
I would like to move the Center Street case first and the Keewaydin case second.
I agree.
The one on the disconnect Snyder?
You want to swab them?
Yes, I would like to move the Sean Snyder case to hear that first and the Neverland to hear that after.
I second that motion.
Yeah,
All those
yep.
in favor of amending the agenda? Signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No opposed. We're going to move Sean Snyder, tax map 163-5, 386 Center Street. Public hearing for a variance of the Wolfeboro Planning Zoning Ordinance of 175-83, which is a zoning ordinance that requires hookup to town water. And his application is complete. However, we did do a site visit, and we met and talked with the applicant, and we since have received information from our attorney, where the heck did I put it? That basically, he feels we don't have jurisdiction on this type of application. It's not a zoning question to disconnect. If it was about connecting, it would be within our scope of authority. And so basically, this would have to be brought before the Board of Selectmen, Town Manager, and Department Head of DPW. I would, by putting it on the agenda. And so I will make a motion that the board does not have authority under our zoning ordinance to respond to this request of disconnecting from the water because the zoning ordinance says you must connect.
I will second for discussion, just because I have a couple of comments about it. I don't know if, no, okay.
No.
No, not, it's 175-83A, and that is the one that we would have authority under.
Okay.
But we do not have authority for this, and our apologies to you.
Well,
So
yes, so I seconded,
Audrey seconds the motion that we do not have jurisdiction. Any discussion?
Just to clarify, you said they needed to get on an agenda for who?
I said, I hope the minutes pick this up, to the Board of Selectmen, the Town Manager, and the head of the DPW.
Okay, so
Selectmen's agenda.
Selectmen's agenda, thank you.
Yeah.
Is your mic on?
Didn't sound like it.
I guess it is, okay.
Yes.
Suzanne, for the record, did you need to know who went to the site visit, or does that not matter?
No, I said we went there. It should be, I'm not going to talk about the site.
No. I didn't know if you needed to know who.
Yeah, I said
Okay.
we met them at the site visit
Okay.
today. Okay, call a vote on this. I think I'll do a roll call. Audrey?
Yes.
Yes.
Jody, yes. Kate?
Yes.
Ryan, yes. I didn't appoint anyone. Chuck, I appoint you on this application, and Chuck says yes.
Yes.
This is, oh, okay, this app,
Yes.
okay.
That we do not have jurisdiction. Okay, sorry, that's it. So you gotta get yourself on the agenda for the Board of Selectmen meeting sooner than later. You talk to the secretary downstairs. She'll get
Amy.
you on the agenda. Amy Camuccio. Muccio. Yeah. Okay. No, we have no jurisdiction to hear the case or talk about the case.
We can't even answer that. We don't know how you came here or why. We can only, well,
You'll have
Sorry.
you'll have to take that up with the powers that be, take it up with the town manager. No, we don't have jurisdiction over that. You're gonna, the town manager,
Town administration.
the Board of Selectmen, and they'll have to bring in
And
the
DES.
head of DPW.
Yeah, because the only, in this handbook, the only thing we have is about the hooking up, having to hook up for residential. We got nothing that says anything
And
about
we're not going to talk about
disconnect.
it beyond that. We can't
Yeah.
keep repeating, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's it. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
Good luck. We're sorry.
The next item on the agenda was
Key Waden.
Neverland Properties. Does that sound right? Yep. For Neverland Properties,
yes, that's our last case, right?
What?
That's our last case, Neverland Properties
Yeah, I'm
tonight.
going to appoint Chuck Sumner to be the voting member on this application, which is Neverland Properties LLC, tax map 186-4, 90 Keewaydin Road, case 01V25, public hearing for a variance under Chapter 175-67, C1 of the Wolfeboro Planning and Zoning Ordinance, shorefront lot improvement standards. All primary structures must be set back at least 50 feet from the reference line. And this is, I will open the public hearing at this time. If you would introduce yourself and bring that microphone right up as close as you can. And there was a site visit done. I was not there. Audrey, Sabette, did you keep a list of who was there?
Yes.
Good.
The people that were there were Jody, Chuck, Kate, Audrey, and I was there.
Stephanie Richard.
Stephanie was there, and John Meader was there.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Stephanie Richard, Changing Seasons Engineering. The proposed project here is to remove the existing residence and rebuild a new residence, deck, garage.
Could you get a little closer to the mic?
Yeah, I guess I'll just have to hold it.
The acoustics here.
I don't have the application.
They want to take down the existing cottage, rebuild the existing house, rebuild a new house, rebuild the decks, rebuild the garage, and then a bunch of utility work associated with that because it's going to be a whole different layout. Right now, the septic system is up on a lot above this, up here, they want to move all of the leach bed and everything onto their own lot, just to keep everything contained. We're here looking for relief from the 50-foot setback. The 50-foot setback is kind of in here. The existing building has 483 square feet into the setback, and proposed, we're looking at 187 square feet. The goal from the very beginning for them was to keep the house essentially where it is, but they couldn't keep the exact same footprint because it doesn't work with what they want to do in the layout. So, with it being a different footprint and all of that, we're kind of trying to do a happy medium of, we can't keep it right where it is, but, we want to be able to have the space back here for pulling in and out of the garage, and, if we slide all of this back that far, that takes out a lot of this space. That's about all I have right now. Questions, comments?
Would you go through the 5 criteria
Sure.
and read it? You're welcome to read it from your submittal or ad-lib it. Whatever works best for you.
Starting there. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. The proposed residence is moved back from the reference line compared to where it is now. The overall encroachment of the residence and the deck into the 50-foot buffer is reduced from existing. Vegetation along the reference line is to remain as it is. You saw from the site visit today, there's a pretty good vegetated buffer, and it's, kind of a steep slope down to the water. So there's no intention to remove the vegetation down there. Don't want to deal with that. There's a few, dead trees that, they're looking to remove if possible, but that's kind of in the works separately as well. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because the building is made less non-conforming by moving the proposed building back from the reference line. The health, safety, and welfare of the public will be maintained. It's not going to affect that at all. Substantial justice is done because the owner is able to build a residence and garage to fit their needs. There will be no harm to the public as a result of the project. The reference line has a sharp jut into the property, which causes a deep curve in the 50-foot setback in the area of the building, which causes the building to need to move back farther. And that's referring to kind of this big swoop right here. You can see it easier on the reference line. There's this big sharp jut into there, which results in this big curve. If that was a little bit more straight across, we'd be a little bit closer to where we need to be. The values of surrounding properties will not be diminished because the residence is shielded from other properties and the lake by wooded areas along the lake, and it's way off of the road. It's essentially the third lot down from Keewaydon Road. Other properties will not be impacted by the project. The proposed residence is supposed to be located further from the reference line, and the character of the neighborhood will not be altered. And number 5, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the purposes of the ordinance applicable to the application and the specific application of that provision to the property, because this project will protect the quality of the lake water because it moves the residence back from the reference line compared to the existing house. The proposed primary residence is being made less non-conforming than the existing primary residence. And the proposed use is reasonable because it's a single family now, and it's proposed to be a single family going forward.
Stephanie, quick question. By how many, it's going to be less non-conforming, by how many feet are we talking about there?
30-ish, I believe.
That can't be.
You want to know the deck or the house?
I beg your pardon?
The deck or the house proper?
Well, where every it needs to be consistent from, with the current,
Well, just the new deck is a different size than the old deck, so it ends up being a different, because of the shape of everything.
okay.
Yeah, for future reference for applicants, if they could highlight like the setback line that we're looking at, because mostly it's very difficult to tell. I have the difference. Do you want to see it?
Sure.
The one on top is the existing, and the one underneath is the proposed. And I've drawn with my pen where the setback line is.
When it was stated that the lake would be further protection by the setback, I wanted to know, what the impact of that is. That's
You're looking for the area or the distance?
the distance.
I can't even tell. How
Yeah,
much further
well,
back is it?
I was measuring the house being about 5 and the deck about 10, and that's it. We looked more at the overall square footage in the setback.
I see.
Only because the size and shape of the house and the deck are so different from what's existing.
Thank you.
It's there now, this is proposed.
So the proposed deck, is that going to allow water to filter through, or is it solid? It's impervious. I mean, it's pervious.
Yes, but the pervious calculations that you see include the deck, because when we go to the state for shoreland, it's going to need to be counted as impervious surface.
Okay.
Could you
So
repeat?
I thought that the state says that decks are considered impervious unless they're constructed to allow water to pass through.
I mean, yes, but it's easier
But the
to
calculations,
just- yeah.
okay.
All set, Kate?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So, Audrey, if it's impervious, then the setback applies?
Decks are treated differently for different scenarios. The shorefront, DES shorefront has a whole calculation thing, and I can't explain it to you. But decks that are pervious and allow water to drain through have more leniency than a surface that doesn't allow water through.
So
For
more leniency in
replacement.
terms of what? How close?
Replacement, allowance to replace it, for instance,
Okay.
in Wolfeboro zoning.
But the same 50 feet applies to the deck also?
It's really hard to say with a replacement like this. I don't think I could tell you. I think, do you know? For Wolfeboro's regulations?
We were told at a meeting, it was a technical review committee meeting, that the deck would need to be entirely behind the 50-foot setback to not have to come see you guys.
Could you say that again?
We were told at the technical review committee meeting that in order to avoid any sort of zoning review, the deck and the house would both need to be behind the 50-foot setback.
Even if it was on the same footprint as the existing deck?
We knew that we weren't going to be on that.
Okay. Can I have that back?
You want to wait till we're all done with the rest of the criteria for more questions, or no?
Well, she's right at 5. I'm asking if the board has any more questions that-
I have more questions.
Me too.
of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
applicant, okay.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead?
Oh, I'm trying to figure out here, so what's there now and what you're gonna put there? It should be really easy for me to try to figure this out, but you're not encroaching anymore past what's already there right now, correct?
Correct.
So
Moving back.
you're basically yeah, you're moving the house back, but by the time you do the deck to the dimensions and everything, you're not going any closer to the,
No.
yeah, that's all I'm trying to get.
The existing is faded back, so on the small plans, it's probably harder to see, but.
Real hard.
The existing deck is about right here. Existing house is about right here.
Yep.
And then the proposed are both a little bit back.
Yeah, so
from-
you're not
from
looking for a variance to basically encroach anymore. I mean, you're pretty much staying, that's what it looks like to me, you're staying with what's there, even though you're changing
Yeah.
what sits where, you're still, you're
The
not.
goal was to sort of come up with a compromise, and we'll move back enough so that we're encroaching less into that 50-foot setback, because it's going to really change.
With the house itself.
It's going to really change the goal
Yeah.
of the house to move
Yep.
it all the way back. So hoping we can come up with a compromise of sort of an in-between. We'll reduce the square footage that's encroaching from what's
Yep.
there.
For both the house and the deck?
Correct.
Okay, and what is the difference of the house and the deck together? How much are you reducing the encroachment? You said it in your earlier,
How far back we're.
no, how many
setting-
square feet are you
Oh,
reducing
okay.
the encroachment?
That's what's written inside of the house there. So the existing building encroachment is 483 square feet. The proposed building encroachment is 187 square feet. So that's about 300 square feet reducing. The deck existing is 914 and proposed is 645. So that's what, a little less than 300.
Okay. That was your question, right? How much less is
Well,
it?
pretty much, I'm just wondering, is something actually sitting there already in that 50 feet?
Yes.
And now they're gonna rebuild everything, but they're not gonna go any closer. Let me say it as, they're not going any closer to the lake. They're not going any further into that, even though they're already into it now.
So that's the difference. That's the difference, including the deck. This is existing, and this is the proposed.
Yeah, so they're not, I'm saying it's not,
It's less.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. They're still within the 50 feet, so I think that's why they have to pull the variance, right?
Correct.
Well,
Even if
apparently
they're
even for the
rebuilding.
deck, not just the house. So one of my questions was, it seems like you could almost get the house out of the 50-foot, depending on the driveway and the turnaround area for the garage. It looks really generous in that area. They weren't able to take out another, 4 or 5 feet of that?
Knowing that we were going to come here anyway.
Because of the deck.
Because of the deck.
Yeah.
They kind of want that area there to be able to pull in and out of the garage easily and, just to have that space out there without trying to, you guys all drove out there today. It's pretty steep going down, so, trying to
Right.
give a little bit more space once you get down there to turn around and such.
What's odd is there's no way to back up out of the garage.
Well, that's a big enough space that you can kind of get out of
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Any other board questions?
Yeah, there's a dotted line behind the house, between the house and the driveway there. What is that?
This little guy, like a porch.
It's a porch. So if that weren't there, you could back the house up another 10 feet or so, right?
Yeah, potentially. It's, just kind of the entryway into the house, the way it's laid out.
So it seems reasonable to move it back further and meet the 50-foot requirement.
So, I kind of agree with you, because it's not like the house is, tight. It's a big house. It seems like there should be some way to design around that full foundation being in the 50-foot.
Yeah, the new house is actually narrower, front to back than the existing house. So
Yes.
you already have that, but it would also make it easier to move it back enough to be in full conformance.
So
With
just-
only the house, though, you're saying?
Just the porch, and I'm trying to find out how much does that stick out? I'm looking for the dimension on it. Like how deep is the porch?
If you look at it, if you moved it back to the driveway line, it looks like the house would be completely outside that 50-foot line. The deck would not. Just by eyeballing it.
Do you have a dimension for the deck or not?
I mean, I'm scaling it about 10 feet. John over here has full-size architectural plans that might give us a good.
I don't see the dimension even with my magnifier on here.
This is the lakefront.
6.5.
Yes, this. It's so small. Is that a little?
And that's, I mean, and this, I guess. That's what I was measuring, 10 there, so. It looks like maybe 6.5 feet for the porch and then another few feet for the steps going up to the porch. So
So the
9 or 10, so.
steps have to be there, obviously.
Right.
And you are going to need some kind of width for a porch, and 6 feet isn't.
It looks like it says 12 feet.
Where do you
The
see
size
that?
of the porch. Is this, Chuck, am I looking at this right? See that right there? I'm looking at this little line, this is the porch,
Which sheet are
right?
you on, John?
This is, Audrey, this is the porch.
I cannot
right?
see that far. I think you're looking at the porch on the lakeside?
No, that's not the lakeside,
Okay.
that's the back porch. That's the porch that you enter in from, I believe.
Where are you seeing 12 feet?
Or am I, wait, am I? Yeah, because this is the walkout basement right here.
This
So
is sheet
the lakeside.
A1-1,
No,
or
I'm looking at
1.1.
the,
you're looking at
I'm looking at
Sort
the
of
right
that
thing,
dimension.
right thing.
I don't know if we have the right
Which one are you looking at?
A1-1 or 1.1.
Stephanie.
That's not
is
where you're
this
supposed
it?
to put that dimension line, architect. So it's a little bit bigger because they're dimensioning to a middle of a beam.
This is the porch, right? This is-
It's
or is
kind of
that
in
the-
this,
These are,
here, go to the next page.
It's about
Right
7
here.
feet.
So this is the driveway up here.
okay, but what is this thing? Is that inside the house?
This is the basement.
Okay, I'm looking at, okay, I was looking at this as 12 feet. This is
Okay.
the actual porch?
Yeah, it would be in this area, right?
Oh, yeah, it looks like
It's
it's more
in
like
here, it says,
7.
in there, it says 6.5. It's hard to read on these, but.
Let me see if I can take a picture and blow it up.
A little easier to see.
Stone.
Bluestone. Bluestone, yep,
This goes down to the driveway.
correct.
Sorry, Chuck.
So I have another question for you, up close so you can look what I'm talking about. Is this area sensitive for some reason, right here?
What do you mean sensitive?
Like you don't, is there ledge or is there something you don't want to use this for? Because if you could back up from here, you could take some off of the parking area and,
Yeah, there-
again, between the front porch and making this
Oh, an
smaller,
extended drive out this way, you're
so
saying?
that, well, just like so that if you're backing up, you can do that, or backing
we-
it. That between the two, it seems like you can get that full foundation out of the 50 feet.
Sure, yeah, I mean, we had considered that. I think I even had a sketch that had that at one point.
Okay.
Again, it
I
was
mean, that
just-
just seems really kind of like low-hanging fruit on this design that could be done, that would help protect that 50 feet setback, is not putting that full foundation in there. Does that make
The
sense?
deck would mean, the deck staying inside is a little bit more, you're more amenable to that is sort of what I'm getting out of
Right,
this.
because of the excavation and, the frost walls that have to get dug down into that existing grade. And we're trying to protect the water with that kind of small 50-foot buffer, that might help lessen the impact of the construction.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And then, do you have any more questions down there? I want to talk about the height of the building.
No, go ahead. I agree with you that moving the house back, at least the house back beyond the 50 feet is important to me. The deck is, like you said, there's more latitude there. And either modifying the porch or modifying the driveway is a way to do that.
Okay, great. So I don't have height elevations on these drawings, and I know that they are on the full set. So were you able to get any information on that?
I did. Maybe I should just show you this and see if this helps answer any of your questions, because I don't know exactly where you're going to want to know, but this was from the architect this afternoon.
Front being lakeside, or, I think that's obviously the drive side, it's because
It
it's
must
only
be, I guess.
23
He refers
feet.
lakeside to
Oh, there
the
we go,
area.
yeah. I would love to see the arithmetic on this showing something with the original grade and then showing the offset for those heights. It's just, I'm not sure I can digest it in this format.
Sure.
Let me take a few minutes and look at this and see if anybody else has any
He didn't say that
questions.
that's anywhere on the plans, right? To figure those out.
From finished grade to midpoint of front height.
Right, but then like what would be the elevation of the, up high to figure out that?
We don't have an existing grade plane to kind of judge these against, because the existing grade plane is where you measure the heights from in one of the definitions.
What do you mean by existing grade plan? We have the existing survey plan that's in your packet.
Yeah, but the grade plane, again, that's something you'd have to go look at in the definitions.
Okay,
And that's the height of the grade around the house that was there before. And
Sure.
the average of that would be the existing grade plane.
we have a plan that shows that. The Stonewall survey plan. I have the existing conditions plan, I guess, as well. So, there's my sheet 1 of 2, and then there's also the surveyor's plan that have.
Right,
the existing-
but in order to figure out the average of that, you have to take those numbers every 10 feet around the foundation and then average them for that average grade plane.
Well, is that how you calculate it? Looking at it.
Yes, that is
I
how you
was,
calculate it.
Coming up with, I don't know, 528, 529, somewhere in here is the middle of the house, existing.
And then how do you transpose that number over onto this drawing?
Well, that's going to be referring, that's going to be referring to the proposed still anyway, you're saying.
So, this would be something that you should have prepared for your building permit, so that the building official can tell whether you meet the height or whether you have to come back for another variance.
Sure.
But if you don't know how to do it, I'm not real confident that that's going to happen. Or it's going to be,
I mean-
or it's going to be asked of you. So, I
Yeah,
just,
yeah, sure.
I'm not sure what to do here. What do you guys think?
I just think, I think the variance is to do with that 50-foot.
Right, but
way
this
it's
whole
all-
front of the building is in that 50 feet, and the front is where the 3 stories, 3.5,
Yeah.
the 3 stories plus the roof is facing the lake.
Yeah.
So Audrey, in looking at this, when you see, I understand that the variance is over the 50 feet, but when you see.
I'm sorry, the what? Variance?
I understand that we're addressing the variance about the 50 feet. However, when you see something that concerns you about height, it's legit to bring it up and say we are concerned about height, correct? That's what you're saying.
As long as it's in that 50 feet, yeah.
Yeah, okay, right.
Right.
So your comment is basically put Audrey's concerns aside because that's not what this variance is about.
Well, no.
But I don't hear Audrey saying, I hear Audrey saying that that is something that should be addressed because it does fall within the 50 feet and you've got the regulation about max height within of either 30 or 35 feet based on how it's built. Am I correct, Audrey, in summing
Correct.
that up?
Yep.
So how do you move forward with that? Ideally, I hear you saying you would like to know what is the actual height of the building, and the building inspector should be looking at this. And we are trying to, moving forward, make sure that we look at the height of buildings because of the concern.
Well, I think my bigger concern is I hate to have people, when there's something like this that seems pretty obvious to me, go back for a building permit and then they're told, well, you know what, you need to go get a variance for height now. And they've already been to us once, and potentially that could happen throughout the building permit process as these plans are reviewed. And I think would make more sense to, when a set of plans are submitted, to try to let the applicant know that they might need this information so they can come one time.
Well, and I'm quite sure this applicant has the resources to get you the answer
Yeah,
that you're
I'm
looking
sure of
for.
it.
There's no
Yeah.
question about that. So then, can we continue this?
Or do it with a condition?
I've got 2 suggestions. I was letting everybody kind of work this through. You could continue it, or you could approve it with the condition that if the height were to be an issue that would impact the approval, that they have to come back.
Well,
But
they would have to anyway. If it was over, they would have to come back.
Well, we assume that it
Yeah.
would be caught and that they would have to come back or not, if it's, maybe you are within the height.
What if we say that the calculations, the math to identify the height per the zoning regulations be included in the file going forward? That way, we'll know it gets done, we'll know it's in the file. There'll be writing in the file that says this is how high it is and it meets the zoning. And then once you do that and it doesn't, of course, you'll know you have to come back. But we'll know that in the file going forward, it was calculated and done, instead of just assuming that it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, then it would be approved with a condition that the calculations be put in the file.
Yes.
You have to get
Yeah.
it right into the motion.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know
Yeah.
if we're done with everything else.
No, so I think we've hashed this out. I'm going to ask, is there any public comment? Either for the application? Anyone opposed? I don't see a big audience tonight. I will close the public hearing if there are no further questions from the board. And we will begin deliberations on the 5 criteria. Thank you. And so we have number 1 and 2. The variance, where is it? The variance will not be contrary to the public interest because, and the spirit of the ordinance observed because. Does anyone want to take a shot at that?
I'm just wondering about the public interest of the neighboring properties in terms of how long will demolition take and other considerations like that.
I remember at the site visit, I believe that the property
Wait,
manager.
you're not a voting member, so
Well, I'm adding information. The property manager at the site visit said that the neighboring houses are owned by this same person. So were you expressing concern about neighboring houses?
Yes. And the
They're
impact
owned
of
by the same
demolition.
person.
Okay.
Am I correct? Further up. But also on the side, I thought. Not on the side? Okay,
No,
sorry.
just up.
Farther up.
Well, so the spirit of the ordinance, there's two ways that you usually approach it. One is, does it change the essence of the neighborhood? Or is it a threat to public health, safety, and welfare? I personally don't think it changes the essence of the neighborhood, assuming that it's not overly tall. And because the neighborhood is also large houses. And I don't think that it causes health, safety, or welfare issue any more than any other construction. I can't think of why it would, as long as it's done properly.
Okay.
But
Is
it's
that your
not done
concern?
within the 50 feet, though. So if it's closer to the lake than 50 feet, then that does
This
have
is,
some impact on
yeah,
the...
this is why, of course, having even if we request that the full foundation get pulled back, equipment's going to be in that front area to some degree, although they're going to build from the front back, but with the proper erosion control measures and things like that, it shouldn't impact the lake much.
Well, any concerns that you have can be attachments to your condition of approval.
I don't really have a concern with that myself. Do
Okay.
you? Are you all set with that?
Okay, yep.
Okay.
Okay, number 3, substantial justice is done. The benefit to the applicant should not be outweighed by the harm to the general public or to other individuals. I think that they meet that criteria in that the neighborhood, it sounds, I did not go to the site visit, but it sounds like the neighborhood is all pretty cohesive as to what's there. So I'm suggesting that they meet that criteria. Comment from anyone else?
No, I agree.
Yeah, there's no harm to the general public that I see.
The values of surrounding properties are not diminished, number 4.
No,
I can't see how they would be.
No.
not possibly.
And then the hard one, number 5, literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. Unnecessary hardship means because of the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area. There is no fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application or the provision to property, and that the proposed use is a reasonable one. Comment?
Well, we didn't really have access to other properties, but this property is a really difficult one to build on because of the steep slopes and the existing retaining walls. So the question is, would requiring it to go much further back actually require moving more soil and, disturbing what's there even more? Than, like if we said, no, push it all the way back to the parking area, we can get right out of the 50 feet. Now you're getting into stabilized soil on a slope more than you would if you're doing it in a similar location that it already is. So I would say that the lot has a hardship in that sense. However, I do think it can be moved out. I think it can be squeezed up a little bit without getting into that steep retaining natural or existing retaining situation that's going on further up the hill. That's my feeling.
And that would not constitute a hardship, right?
That the lot has a hardship because of that existing stabilized retaining situation.
Yes, right.
Yeah, that you don't want to unstabilize by moving the house footprint in order to construct and dig up those areas in order to lay the house out.
But moving the house
mean
back
move the house
towards the
back?
driveway,
I think they've
Is
got
reasonable.
10 or 12 or feet, they could probably move it back. So as long as they get the foundation out of the 50 feet, that's what I think would be reasonable.
I think that's reasonable, and that's quite honestly, that's what I would like to see.
Any other
Is
comments?
what do you mean? What would you like to see? That the house moved?
Yes.
So that full foundation, that front line is behind the 50 feet, not the deck, but just the part where they have to dig down to put in the frost walls of the basement, because the basement's going to be right at existing grade, the basement floor, essentially, at an existing grade, but they have to dig down to put in the frost walls around that. And if we can get that out of the 50 feet, I think there's room to move the house back enough or to redesign it a little bit to make that happen.
Any other comments? Okay, I'd make a motion to approve this application for 90 Key Waden Road for the applicant Neverland Properties LLC to do, which would be, wait a minute. Well, they'll be removing the existing residence and replacing it with what? With what? With a single-family home
And a garage,
and a garage.
a detached garage.
I'm looking for that setback thing. The number of the setback, here it is. That we waive the, to permit the reconstruction of a primary structure less than 50 feet from the reference line. But do we know what that number is? Less than 50 feet, but what is the number?
We don't know. We don't know how far it sticks into the 50 feet.
So is it going to be?
We could just say per the drawings.
Oh, good, yeah, thank you.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, per the drawings, except for the full foundation needs to be,
Well, per the set of drawings dated November 11th, 2024.
yep.
And Audrey, any conditions go on that?
So that the full foundation does not encroach on the 50-foot setback?
Just tell me the words you want.
It's hard to add it on to what I thought I heard you say. So your motion is to approve a replacement of a single-family dwelling according to the drawings dated November 11th, 2024, with the exception that the full foundation is outside of the 50-foot setback. Is there more?
If you're happy with that. And then we have to,
May I ask a
confused.
question? How is that different than I'm confused about how that's different than denying the variance.
Oh, that's a good question, because we didn't actually get their concurrence that they're willing to accept that condition. So we would just have to deny it and have them come back with another one unless they chose to say, yeah, well, we're willing to accept that.
What about the height issue that we discussed earlier?
That's true, I forgot about that.
Okay.
We can make that a condition of whatever our final opinion is.
Yeah.
So I would leave that till the end.
Well, what you're talking about now, plus that other condition that you wanted to make sure they have the calculations.
That's what she just said.
That's what he's talking about. So I'm.
With calculations to verify that it meets the Wolfeboro building height restrictions.
To be placed in the permanent file.
Yeah.
Anything else you think you'd like
No.
to? All right, and then we have to have the boilerplate conditions added, which I forgot about, but all federal and state permits shall be received prior to the construction, and including but not limited to the town of Wolfeboro's building permit. The approval is per all documents submitted in this application package by the applicant, which was November 18th, 2024, as well as material received at the meeting January 6, 2025. The applicant, as submitted to the ZBA, does not satisfy all submittal requirements for the building permit. The notice of decision shall be recorded at Carroll County Registry of Deeds, and the applicant shall be responsible for the payment of all fees. This variance shall be wait a minute, the variance shall be valid and exercised within 2 years from the date of this approval, or as further extended by the local ordinance or by the zoning board of adjustment for good cause in accordance with 674:33 Roman 1 AA. Applicant is, wait a minute. You've listed all the conditions which will come before what I just read. The appeal process pursuant to 677-2, any aggrieved party may appeal this decision to the Carroll County Superior Court within 30 days of the date of the board voted to approve or disapprove this application. So we got a motion. Do we have a second? Second, somebody?
I think I made the original one, didn't I, or did you?
What?
Who made the original motion? Me or you?
I made the original motion, you
I
made the
amended it.
amendment. So I'm asking for an approval of the motion as amended. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second the motion for discussion, but
All right,
Yeah, I'm confused.
go ahead, discussion.
Sabette raised the question of, is this really, the variance is for a setback, and we're saying we're going to approve it, except that you have to meet the setback.
So
Well, the
would
deck
she-
isn't meeting the setback. The
Right,
deck is still in the setback.
right. So is this, approving this waiver, or is it the correct way to handle that?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, so they want to have the foundation in the 50 feet.
That's what they proposed, yes.
And we figured that was roughly 8 feet, right? Something like that.
Somewhere
but
around 8 or
it's
10
around.
feet. That's, yeah.
So I don't
So you
understand
think
how
it's
we can
just a
even vote.
denial?
How can we even vote on a variance and put a stipulation when it's Like he's sort of saying.
Yeah.
I'm sort of confused that I think we should accept or deny the original thing in this variance, but I don't know. That's my feeling, but
It might work to approve it with the condition that they move it back so that the foundation is outside of the 50 feet.
Then
It sounds a little,
Sounds like you should deny it.
Yeah,
Right,
so,
right,
so I
that's-
think our choices
exactly.
are to just deny it, and then if they want to come back with a proposal that they think will meet our requirements, they'll redraw it and bring it back.
So let's talk about this. Do you want to
Did you close the public hearing?
vote down this
Application. Variance.
motion.
motion? Thank you, I couldn't think of the word. Vote down this motion and then make another motion to deny it without prejudice, and those are the things that you'd like to have.
Did you close the public hearing?
Did I what?
Close the public hearing?
Yes.
No, I
I
didn't.
thought you did.
Did I?
Yes.
He thinks I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember it. All right.
So I can call the vote, and you can vote no, and then we go back, and somebody else makes a vote to deny it, and without prejudice, and suggest they come back with the things that you're asking for, because it's kind of
Yep, we
incomplete.
could do that. That would be the cleanest way to do it,
All right, so,
so we just vote on the way it was,
the way it's
the
presented.
application came to us.
Yep.
Right, Audrey, is there a reason you wanted to reopen the hearing?
No, I don't want to reopen it. I
Oh, all
just,
right.
No.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if we had,
no.
I don't like
Okay.
reopening hearings.
no.
No.
So I'm going to call the vote. All those in.
So there
fa-
was no second, so
What?
there was no second, so the vote, so
Oh,
the
there was
motion
no
fails.
second? Okay,
No,
so
I seconded it.
For discussion.
I seconded
Oh.
it for discussion purposes, and here we are.
you still have to call a vote.
Right.
All those in favor of approving as amended, signify, roll call.
What do you mean by amended?
With all those conditions we just put on it, so we're voting
But
to,
then how did we
And then-
didn't
because
vote
we're
on the
gonna-
first
We're going to
variance.
make another motion after to
Okay.
take
Yeah.
care of this.
so we're saying that
confused.
the motion that was made with the amendments is not the way that you want to address this application.
So I would be,
You would be a no.
I would be a no because
And then we go and do another motion.
and the other motion's going to be on what?
On this application. to
On
de-
today's application,
Yeah.
the way they had it in the.
To
Yes.
deny
Okay.
it
I'm
because we
sorry,
don't
I'm
have.
just trying to get it straight.
That's
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
confused too, so. So I will vote to deny the motion.
Yeah, no, you're
I'm
a
a
no. Roll call. Audrey is a no.
I'm a no on,
Well, on the motion.
Yes.
On the motion.
okay.
Kate,
No.
Ryan, no.
Chuck is a no.
Okay, so
funny if you
the
said
motion to approve fails. Now we need a new motion that,
Chuck, you
That-
can do a motion.
No, wait now, that the criteria they don't meet the 5 criteria?
Right, because there's no hardship with moving the house back a few
Exactly.
feet. There's a hardship with moving it back 30 feet.
All right, so will you make that motion?
Oh, I thought Chuck might like to.
Well, I want to make sure that you
Okay.
include what you just said.
All right, so I make the motion
reason.
to deny the application for not meeting the hardship requirement because the house can be moved back so that the full foundation is outside of the 50-foot setback.
You okay with that?
Second.
And.
What about height?
and-
No.
And that it's without prejudice.
It's without prejudice, which means they can come back with another application, although it would be a different application, so.
It's all right. Second,
I think they heard that we'd like to know what the height information is when they come back, so we don't have to add that.
So now that's a condition of this.
No condition.
It is not a condition? Okay.
No, this is just a denial. There's no conditions on a denial.
Okay.
Right.
Second?
Well, so in the denial, do you want to articulate what it is that you'd like to see them come back with? No, you've made,
Well, I
they
think
already know.
it's pretty clear in the
Yeah.
discussion. Okay,
there's no hardship in moving the house back
Okay.
so that the full foundation is outside the 50 feet.
okay. All right, I hope the secretary gets that. All
No, I
right,
think what Audrey said is pretty clear. The original motion that she just made is pretty clear.
motion's been made and seconded.
Yes.
All right, roll call
Who
vote.
seconded it? Okay. So
To deny.
to deny
without
is a yes.
prejudice. Yeah,
A yes to denial.
I'm going to be no to deny.
okay. Kate?
Yes to deny.
Ryan, yes?
Chuck, yes to deny.
Okay. Okay, motion carries, the application has been denied with reasons given, and we'll still have to do findings of fact, and I think I'd like to work with Audrey on that.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
now. Not
No, not now.
No. We have time. All right, so, next item on the agenda, we're almost done. Okay, I put on there the rules of procedure. I simply put the rules of procedure on for discussion
Good.
as to, we have sent them to our attorney, we've sent them to our interim planner for them to collaborate. They've sent them back to us with what they feel the changes should be, additions, omissions, corrections, changes. My wish, and that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but my wish would be that we don't challenge what they have done, and that we put these on the next meeting for the first reading with the understanding that sometime later in 2025, things that people aren't happy with, they can change. Bring in what you want to change.
Could we have a short discussion before we just?
A what?
A short discussion among ourselves before we just do that?
Yeah, I just tried to head it up
Okay.
as to why I felt we should just go forward with this.
So my question is, in reading over, I'm looking to see if I thought I had a hard copy, but maybe not. When I compared the new version with the version that we sent them, I did not see anything that felt substantially different. And I'm wondering,
Oh,
my question is, was there something that I missed? Was there something that they changed that was
Well,
substantially?
Don't you have this?
Yeah, I just have to, but when I read it, I didn't see, I saw all the notes on the
Well, I mean,
side.
they made their notations.
I know. No, I saw lots of changes, but I didn't see anything that changed the substance of what we were after.
So then are you
So-
in favor of
No,
going
I-
forward with this set with the understanding that later on in the year, if we have a new board or whatever,
No.
we can,
I'm not. I'm asking if someone would tell me if I missed something. I want to know if someone else felt there were substantial changes that I missed. I'm trying to understand.
so I thought I did see some, I think there were 2 or 3 things that the board discussed pretty thoroughly.
please.
Discussed pretty thoroughly that they took out. And because it was something that we discussed so thoroughly and some people felt were really important, I wondered why they were taken out.
All right, let's do it this way. Let's put it on the next agenda. Everybody go home, take this home and figure out what did or didn't change, what you want to change or don't want to change, or whether you want to just go forward with it.
Suzanne, I disagree with you. I think we have time right now. I just need to hear what I missed. I'm not saying I'm not.
Well,
real-
it's up to all of these board members,
Did
including
they not prepare?
myself.
So did everybody else not read?
I don't want to work on it tonight. I was not planning on that.
I have not read it.
Okay,
We're working with,
What?
okay.
this is the version.
I thought we
Yeah.
were there.
With the
Because I,
comments.
Okay.
Comments.
could I at least hear Audrey's point? I mean, what I,
I haven't marked it up, but if you want to give me a minute, I'll see if I can find some of them.
I think we've had a difficult night, and I really don't want to get into it. It's been a difficult week.
I know, I was just trying to keep things moving along by not
That
bringing
We'll
that.
be moving it along a bit by putting it on the next agenda, and people send in, if you can't be here, you send in your concerns.
So it is only 7:30, so I feel like we could put some more time into this. Why don't we take you obviously think we've had a long night. How do you feel? Do you want to go through this?
I would jingle a little bit,
Half an hour?
yeah.
At most?
Yes.
I mean,
So-
I'd like to do it while it's fresh in
Can
my
you
mind.
just sit
'cause I
there and
spent a
let
lot of
us,
time
let us do it
working on
for 10 or 15 minutes?
I'll tell you what, Audrey, you take over the meeting, you're vice chair,
Okay,
Chair.
and I'm going home.
all right.
I'll leave it to Audrey to close, because I'm
Okay.
comfortable with just going forward with this and dealing with it later in the year. I've had enough.
That's fine. Co-chair can close the meeting, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, it's been a
So,
long week, I
At
granted.
7:30, the chair is
And I was
excusing
looking
herself from the
forward to an
meeting.
early evening, too, so.
Oh, good.
And Suzanne, I'm not saying I don't agree with the way you want to
Now,
move
look at
forward,
this.
I'm just
No,
trying to get it.
Sabette, no hard feelings. Do what you want to do. I just want to see this thing done. We've been working on it for 3 or 4 years,
No, I got you.
and we should dedicate it to Sarah when we're done.
Good idea.
Sure.
I do like that idea. Audrey, give me a minute, I want to find.
Let the record show that I have excused myself at
Yep.
7:30.
Here's this copy right here.
Suzanne has left the building.
Suzanne is going home and drinking scotch. Or something.
Oh, yeah.
Don't let the dog go again. Enough exercise today.
So here's one. Personal notice shall be made by verified mail. We had a long discussion, and Suzanne really wanted it to be certified
I
mail.
highlighted that as
page?
well, I did. I wanted to know the difference between verified and certified, I caught
Okay,
that.
I can answer that question.
Which page are you on?
This is page 6. This is public notice number 2. Now, this is, they've suggested this change because the state law actually changed from certified to verified. Verified is about a quarter the cost or a third the cost of a certified piece of mail. So verified simply means we've paid the post office and they've verified that they've received that and that they're going to mail it.
Proof of mailing.
Proof of mailing, right. Where certified, it's actually pretty similar because we don't get a signed certified postcard back from the
Return.
person we mail it to.
No return receipt.
No return receipt. It's just certified, and I don't know what good it does, what the difference is. If you don't have it signed, you still don't know whether it went there or not.
I know.
Well, we can even require return receipt, can we not? I mean,
I don't know why
I
you
don't,
can't just say certified.
nobody does that. Well, no, they really don't, because people don't have to sign for them, and then what do you do when you don't get the card back? Do you not have the meeting?
right.
Right, so it doesn't really help. So, I mean, I'm okay with verified. It's less expensive. The state changed the wording because they felt it was fine. Suzanne was the one that really wanted to keep certified. So that's okay with me. Let me see if there was another one.
There was a typo on number 16 where it said,
16,
under.
What page?
Under 11, It says at which point the board may either begin deliberations, and I think it meant begin.
Which page?
Um,
Could you talk to your microphone?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The hard copy doesn't have the notes. Let me see. It's under
Mine does.
mine. Oh, I see. It does right there. You're right. It's under rules for public hearings, and it is number
Hang on.
16. I don't have a page. I'm looking at what's online.
It's
What I-
page 7, it's page 8 in our handout.
See where it says number 16?
Yeah, 16, the public hearing will be closed upon a vote of the board, at which point the board may either begin deliberations or continue the matter.
It should say begin, but mine says being.
Being, yeah.
So it needs to say, that's just a small typo, but I'm just catching the typo.
Begin, okay.
Begin.
Yeah, gotcha.
This is what page? 10?
Page 8.
Page 8.
Number 16.
So Audrey, what was a substantive change that you saw?
I gotta look through it again.
Okay.
So, and again, it's a little difficult because I don't know the purpose they made the changes, whether they just preferred it or there's a, substantial reason. But looking at voting, page 9, number 1, we had suggested that if there was a tie vote or a denial, that the opposite motion get made so that it just doesn't fail on one vote.
I thought they just cleaned up the language. Let me look at the old language. It said, our old language said the opposite of the failed motion does not automatically prevail. I thought they were just trying to make that cleaner by saying a tie vote does not mean that an application is denied.
Yeah,
Isn't that
but
the same
then
thing?
the sentence that's important that they also scratched out is the last one. The board must set forth a new motion to affirmatively approve or deny a decision.
Okay.
And I think that's really good practice, and we've been doing that, and I don't know why that can't still be in there as something that we want to have done.
May I make a suggestion then?
Yeah.
What if that sentence, if we ask for feedback from the attorney about what's the why behind that change?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Rather than just carry it till next year, just go on and just ask, why? What does that mean?
Then they crossed out our desire to link the applications and agenda on the town website.
I saw that too, and here's my thought about it. I think that that's probably okay.
We probably can't make
The
them
truth
do
is,
that.
the town can't do that. Maybe. And
No, they
at this-
can,
they can, of course they can, but they currently do not have the capability to even create a decent website, much less begin linking things.
What's
So,
the section you're talking about?
This is page 10, records, number 4.
I thought that was, I thought they just cut that out simply because of our current capability.
They also cut out, and we talked a lot about this, the notice of decision. This ended up saying we wanted to mail this to, should be sent to the applicant by certified mail. They crossed that out. So should we have to do that? Well, they're supposed to be keeping track of what's happening with their case, so maybe it's not necessary, but we wanted it to be published in the Granite State News at the next available opportunity, and that's really something we really wanted to happen. Now,
Can you give me this, if you guys could mention the page that you're talking about? And
I'm sorry, this is page 11, records again, but it starts on page 10, number 4.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's okay that we don't send a notice to the applicant, but I agree. We did have a long discussion about the value of publishing that decision.
So she said, can we leave this in? Is there a problem with leaving this in?
Well, the reason all of that is taken out of there is because it's a repeat from page 9, decisions.
The noticing in the Granite State News is?
Yeah, let's look
Okay,
back at
hang on.
page 9. You're right.
Most of it's in there. It doesn't say Granite State News
Right.
shall be notified. So the thing to do would be to add it to
Decisions instead of records?
Yeah, I had an issue with that because the decisions and the records repeated a lot of the same information, but it was not identical. So one of them had to go. So that's what we did. And if we omitted the Granite State News, just add it into the decisions, somewhere under decisions.
Okay, so it's not in there, but I'll see if we can add it back to the decision pile. Oh, I see. It is, the certified mail is in the decision part.
Right.
I see what you're saying. Let's see. And will be sent to the applicant by certified mail, including findings of fact, commission, code, other parties. So, so why don't we just suggest that the Granite State News be put back in here or over to here?
Right, at the end of the second sentence,
Anywhere in number 2, decisions number 2?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, that was just a redundancy issue. So we're
Yeah.
back to sending it to the applicant. Good.
Okay, that's good. So they moved the appeal thing over to the, why did we have it in additional rules also?
Who's the "they"? Are these the assistant
The
attorney?
the lawyers who
Okay.
suggested the red strikeouts? Because I think it's in the appeal part already. Why did we have it in here twice? There was a reason. Because it's talking about a decision taken, an appeal from an administrative officer. But that can also be in number 1. Maybe it's redundant. I think that's why it's out.
Yeah, he didn't, I don't see a note about why he took that out. Do you?
I think they took it out.
Right, that's what I mean. I don't see a note
Yeah.
about the why.
I think because an administrative officer can also appeal under number 1 additional rules, it doesn't,
Yeah. It doesn't say that they can't.
in fact, in the RSA, it says they can. So
So
we just didn't put it in. I want to make sure that the section I worked on is in here. I think it is. but I just want to check. Because this doesn't look like the one I looked at either. So, yeah, let's see.
You worked on that members and alternates piece?
No, I worked on the applications part, and it's in here without any changes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. I think that's all for me.
Well, then, so to help this move along for just Suzanne's point, we had 2 things we were running by the attorney, is that correct? Asking why.
And one thing to move,
It was under voting. Why did they delete it? We have 1 typo, and then we're going to move the part about the notice shall be published in the Granite State News.
right.
So 2 things for the attorney. One is a why, one is a please move, which we probably don't even need to run by them, right? We can just, well, they scratched it out.
Well, there's still 4 of us here. We could vote on this.
Yeah.
You can
we
appoint
just-
her as an alternate, as a member, too.
We
by the
could
way.
do that too, but I don't
Yeah,
think we
who
need
needs
to.
Suzanne? I'm kidding.
So,
She's home watching this now.
do we want to take a vote to make those changes to this document?
I'd like to, and going back to the voting, I'd like to,
So voting is number
Number-
12 on page 9?
yes,
Okay.
page 9. I would like to see that last sentence put back in. The board must set forth a new motion to affirmatively approve or deny a decision.
Okay.
we add that back
So instead of
in-
feedback, let's just put it back in?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know that we need legal advice
I
to
agree. I think,
Yeah.
Chuck, that's
put that
good.
in or
What's
out.
going
So
back in?
the last sentence that they crossed out
Oh,
in
the board must set forth?
right.
Yeah, I like that, I like that.
So I'd like
Okay,
to put that
so
in.
we'll have a motion to accept this document as amended in the 3 ways that we talked about. One is,
One is we leave in under voting the sentence, or we're moving that, aren't we? Or we
no, we're leaving it in.
Leaving
Putting
in
it
the
back in.
last
Okay, I
sentence.
see, yep. We're leaving in the last sentence, the board must set forth a new motion, blah, blah, blah. We are taking on page 11, the sentence that says, "The notice shall be published in the Granite State News at the next available opportunity." We are moving back to page 9, under decisions, in
Number
number
2.
2.
Yes.
Yep.
We are fixing a typo on page 8, where it should say, number 16, where it should say begin instead of being. Those are the 3
Yes.
things, right?
Yep. So is there a second?
I second, yes.
All in favor? Aye.
I,
That's 4. 4. Good. So when we come back next time, we can
Read it,
read it and approve.
right.
Yep,
So we're right where Suzanne wanted to be.
yep.
so. do
And
you
it
have-
only took us 15 minutes.
Yes.
Here you go.
So is somebody going to
we
put that
still
all
on
together in a
TV?
final document?
So it just needs to be a summary, right? It just needs to be,
For this, I think we need to send these changes back to whoever
is the keeper of this.
did the physical work to have them redo it and send it to us next meeting.
I think I understand it. Do you want me to summarize it and send it to Suzanne? to then
Summarize our changes?
The changes, the
Yeah.
3 things we just voted on.
Yeah.
Worst case, I can go back and watch the video and make sure we've got it. I'll send it to Suzanne. Suzanne can send it to the attorney. So then we've got a clean copy to work from January 16th
Yeah, sounds
to
good.
vote on it and read it.
Okay.
Right.
Somebody needs to close the meeting,
Is
right?
there a motion to close the meeting?
Yes, I
So
move
moved.
that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was good.